Okay, welcome back to part 2 of our processing and canning salsa. See if I can get you all down here really good so you can see what I'm doing. It's more important you see what my hands are doing than you see what I'm doing. Okay, so our salsa has come to a boil. We've gone and you're going to have this like foam that's going to come on top of your tomatoes. It's going to look like this. It's going to be this foamy stuff. Go ahead and skim that foam off. Just take your big spoon, some kind of a spoon, and just run across there and just skim off the foam. And put that aside. I'm going to give that to the animals. You can do what you want to with it, but this is going to my animals. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to do, and I had already started this when we had a problem. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to take us a hot jar. Remember, when you're doing your hot jars, let me pour part of this off. Show you what I'm talking about. When you're getting the hot water out of your jars, remember to have it to where you're pouring it through the big hole here, not through the handle part. You pour it on the handle part, the water's going to travel up the handle and it's going to burn you. And that's one thing you don't want to happen. Make sure you use your jar lifter and you have your jar lifter holding it securely. Then we're going to take and we are going to scoop off the salsa. I'm taking off a good bunch of the juice because there is a lot of juice that's in here. Now we're going to can the juice for something else, but when we're doing our salsa, we don't want a whole lot of juice in there. Okay. The other thing is that when we're filling our jars, we don't want to fill our jars any more than 3/4 of an inch. So we're filling the jars to 3/4 of an inch. Okay. Here I've got a jar. And on the far end, this is the debubbler that I use, but on the far end of that is this thing that looks like a ladder. And each one of these little bumps represents 1/4 of an inch. So if you put that across the jar and you look, you can see that 3/4 of an inch is right below this band right here. This bump that's right here. So 1/4 of an inch is from the top to this first screw ring. Let me turn on some light here. To this first screw ring. 1/2 an inch is just to the top of the screw ring. And 3/4 of an inch is to the bottom of the screw ring. An inch, if it says an inch, then it's where it starts widening back out. Okay? You can lay it up against there. Hope that helps some. Okay? Let y'all see that. Alright. So we're going to fill the jars to 3/4 of an inch from the top using our funnel. If you get a little smidgen too much, then just take a spoon and remove it. It is better to have the jar underfilled than to have the jar overfilled. Okay? Because the reason for that is because of the expansion. Now, since we pre-cooked ours and let it boil for 3 minutes, we have alleviated a lot of the expansion problems. I've just got a cloth here, just a little piece of muslin that's got some vinegar on it that I have wiped down the rim of the jar with. I'm also making sure that there are no cracks, bumps, rough edges, anything like that. I'm taking my lid lifter here, and I'm getting a lid. Oh, it's hot. Woohoo! Hot. Hot, hot. I'm getting a lid, and I'm getting a hot ring. And put it down where it's almost snug, finger tight snug, and then tighten it down. Take the lid lifter again, while you still got it in your hand, and then take your lid lifter, put around it, and make sure that you can lift this safely before you remove the cloth from it. And we're going to put it into our canner, okay? We're going to proceed until we get all of our jars filled. We have in the canner, the water is 1 inch above the jar level. We're going to bring this with the lid on back to a boil. Then we will let it boil for 15 minutes. After it is boiled for 15 minutes, we'll turn the fire off and we will let it sit for 5 more minutes. That's real important. You let this sit for 5 more minutes with the lid on it. After the 5 minutes is up, remove the lid with it tipped away from your face. Never open it towards your face. Always tip it away from your face because you don't want that hot steam coming up into your face and maybe burning you. Take your lid and put it aside, and then use your jar lifter and carefully lift each one of the jars back out. Make sure that you've got that jar securely locked in, that lifter securely locked in on your jar. I take a hand towel and I open up a hand towel and lay it on the counter. And then I will take, and of course these haven't been processed yet, but I will take my processed jar and I will put it on the towel and I will let it sit with at least a finger's distance between each of the jars. I don't touch it for 24 hours. After 24 hours, then I take and I remove the lid, the ring, not the lid, the ring. Remove this from it. I do not store my jars with the rings on it because you can get a false sense of security that the jar is okay when it's not. So, I remove this. I wash the jars in case there's anything on them. I'm going to write on this salsa, chunky salsa, and today's date, which is August the 14th. And then go ahead and put it on the lid. Put it on